Welcome back to another 1+1 episode where we reshape the minds of Vincentian entrepreneurs. Of course, I'm your humble servant, Joylyn Paris. Today on 1+1, I have Mr. Keith Howard on the show. Mr. Howard, it's a pleasure having you here with us.
Thank you, my dear.
Will you tell us a little about yourself and the enterprises with which you are associated?
Okay, my name is Keith Garnett Howard. I'm from Edinburgh originally, St. Vincent, Kingston. And I came from a family background of engineers, mechanics. So from my early beginning, I was a lover of mechanics. So I started out as naturally a mechanic. And that is basically Keith Howard.
Okay. What about the enterprises which you're involved with currently?
Presently involved in several enterprises. I should say the main one is the marine business. I started originally in the marine business some 32 years ago.
Okay.
I started in the marine. I was then only about 22 or 23.
I was not alive yet.
So I started out as auto mechanics originally, and then I branched out into the marine business. I did that because I see a niche market, and you know, when you're looking for business, you look for a niche market where no one ventures. So I went into that area. I was trained in Miami at Outbound Marine Corporation, and there I gathered most of my knowledge about the marine industry.
Do you think that your educational background would have aided in any way to your success today?
Education is very important, but how you apply it is even more important. You know, and when we look at education, we have to look at it. What is education? Some people think a university degree is education. Some people think a college degree is education, or a doctorate. That's not education. Education is how you apply what you learn. And if you apply it right and take the advantage as it comes, then, you know, the education will pay off. So with any amount of school knowledge you get and you can't apply it right, then it don't make any sense.
I agree. So what made you decide to start your own business? Is this something you always knew that you would do? Or you just randomly got up one morning and said, you know what, it's time for me to start my own business?
No, I think starting a business, it comes from what you learn. And again, that's education.
Right.
What you were taught at the home. And I think the family is where your education starts from small. And I think my family, my father and mother were the greatest people who influenced my decision to go out into the business. And you know, my mother, she was always there, home, making sure that you do the right thing. Even though you start at home, helping her around the house, you're learning. It's education.
Yeah, true.
And then you take that right through the level of the whole life level, and then you can understand you don't forget the basics. And this starts with the basics. Then my father, on the other hand, he was the man who was basically my driving force, or my main mentor. You know, and he had policies that he set out. And he said, you know what he said to us, he said to all his children, he had 5 basic things that he want you to understand in life. The first thing he said, get a good education. Again, okay? Then he said, learn a trade. So when you learn a trade, you can go anywhere in the world and make ends meet. So you learn a trade. Next thing he said, don't ever try to work with the government. He said you're going to hold yourself back. Stay away from working with the government. If you have to work with them, fine, but don't stay long with them, because he worked with the government for most of his life. So he was talking from experience.
Okay.
The government held him back, working with the government, going to an 8 to 4 job and doing nothing, as what we see people do. A lot of people get away with that. Then he said, don't get involved in politics. He said, politics is a wicked thing in St. Vincent and in the whole world. Keep away from that. Your business will be successful. Don't ever get involved in that.
And have those 5 things been working out for you?
Next, the last thing he said is that you go to church, believe in God.
Okay.
And the other policy said, once you're in my house, you will find yourself in a church. I don't care what it is. He was a Baha'i, but he never forced you to be a Baha'i like him. He just said, he wanted to go to a church. Yeah, with those principles, I think they work out very good for me in life, you know. I stick to them and I went on in life and, I am here today. As people say, as a businessman, I'm not a businessman. As an entrepreneur, I'm not an entrepreneur, just a dreamer. I always dream, and I'm still dreaming.
Okay. So you've been dreaming and you've been making things happen. What's been the most frustrating thing about being an entrepreneur? What's the most stressful thing or most frustrating thing about having your own business?
Frustrating. Frustration is how you look at the business. You get frustrated, if you can't get money to do something that you want to do. You don't know where to get it from. Then you don't have support. Then when you try to go forward, you get people trying to pull you back. These are frustrating things in life. And and I'll draw some examples that you go as a young businessman or a young man in St. Vincent who have an idea or a project you want to go forward. You go to the bank, and in those days, business plans was not so important. You will go to the bank and you'll tell the banker, well, I want to do this.
State your case.
At that time, banking was totally different from now. Banking was a one-on-one. If the loans officer know you well, your family background, he will lean towards helping you. If he don't, then you have to go elsewhere. And so it was those little things that help get you a little frustrated. But what gets you most frustrated is when you see you go, for example, to a bank and they turn you down and you don't know why. And then you see another man go to the bank and he walk out with a loan, and you wonder why the difference between this man and me. And I look at it, and when I start checking it out, first thing I look at, race play a big problem in that. I'm not a racist, but I'm a realist. I tell you how it is. And if a white man walked into the bank in St. Vincent in those days, he get a loan quicker than I do. And I never realized why until later on, when I was in different circles. I remember the Rotary Club of St. Vincent South. And I remember once we were talking about entrepreneur and all of that. And I had to explain my situation, how I became an entrepreneur, just like what we're doing here. And inside of that session was 3 bankers who had turned me down or turned me away from the bank. So I asked them what was the problem. You know what they said? I was high risk. But I know a white man came from the next part of the world, the opposite side of the world of us, came to the same bank manager in the same bank. Same day he walked out with a loan of $100,000. He wasn't high risk. My family is in St. Vincent. They knew me when I grew up. They know where I come from. They don't know where this other man came from. But I was high risk and he was okay.
Okay.
So those are the problems that we see.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so you've already explained the most frustrating thing that you would have had to go through. What's been the most rewarding thing about owning your own business?
Rewarding, well, what is most rewarding to me is when I look at the people who I was who I employ, and I look at the happy faces at the end of the month when they collect the salary, and understand that, you know, here am I doing my little part, but there are over 200 other people who I'm signing a check for every month to feed a family of 5 or 6. And I feel very happy when I can do that. You know, I feel happy. Now, it's frustrated for me to sign the checks. It's sometimes you have to find the money, but it's rewarding for me to see them smiling and see the family going to school and getting something to eat. So, you know, I think that is the most rewarding thing in my whole life.
Okay.
And I will continue looking for jobs for people until I can not dream anymore.
Okay. There's a general notion that says entrepreneurs should focus on what they love to do naturally. What's your take on that? You know, you grew up around a mechanical family, and naturally that's the path that you decided to follow. Do you think that it's something that other entrepreneurs should take into account when they're deciding to start a business?
Well, when you start a business, yes, you should do the things that you love to do. One of the biggest problems we have, like us, even the people in the technical field, is we were trained to fix. We're trained to fix things, right? That is our biggest problems. We are not businessmen as such, are not entrepreneurs, we're technicians, and it's a big difference, you know. I'll try to explain. I am a technician. I can fix your engine on your car or your boat or whatever it is. My satisfaction is when that product runs good. I'm happy. Okay? What it costs me to make it run good, right, is money that's out of my pocket. But that don't bother me. What is my satisfaction when I start your car and it run good? Now we have to marry that together, because there I have to live. I have to get money to live and to run a business. So then I have to now find a way of understanding how to merge. So the thing is that we young technicians, we say we want to be businessmen, we want to be this, but we're not ready for that. You have the people who are there to take care of that part. So what I did from very young is to understand that I can't do everything. I'm not an accountant. So you know what? I'll hire somebody to do the accountant work. Right?
Okay, yeah.
I will do the technical. You manage me. You know? I involved in several companies, but I am not the chairman of any of the board of directors, because that is not my area. I will sit on the board. Right? I'm not the chairman. Even I own the company, I'm not the chairman of the board. I put somebody there and we will elect a chairman so that the board will guide the company into doing whatever it's supposed to do. And I will sit and make decisions on that board in my area of specialty.
Right.
But I will not go into the finance part, you know, and the human resource part. Let somebody else deal with that. Let me deal with the mechanics.
So what about those entrepreneurs who, you know, they have the skill, they don't exactly have the business sense and everything else that comes with that, but they don't have money to employ somebody to do accounting and somebody to consult them and things like that. So what would you advise them to do in a case like that?
You see, sometimes we look at things as money, and we have the money, but we put it in the wrong areas.
Okay.
You know, and you look at the young entrepreneurs around the place, young businessmen, and sometimes what are their priorities? They start to do well with a little business. You know, a guy can start anything that he wants and he makes some money, you know. I see a man who started a nice little business. He was ponging stone and selling to people who build house. And he make a lot of money, right? What do you think he do? When he get enough money, Instead of he buy a truck that he can bring the stones for a pound, he buy a nice BMW car. He had enough money because they make a lot of money. He couldn't do anything. It's that the car will take back all the money that he makes. You know, he should invest in a small crusher that he could crush a little stone. You know, there are things that you can do to make it life easy. And I think when you're looking at it from that area, you have to think. You know, the young men have to think what they want and how to manage the money, because that's the biggest problem. Not saving so much, but managing the money.
Okay.
Knowing where the money go, because you see, you have to know where every cent in your business go. If you make a cent today, it's not your money. You never own that. That's not yours. That's the business money, right? You pay yourself a salary at the end of the month. That's your money. But the money that you make on a daily basis should be put away in a bank or wherever you want to put it.
Okay. So you mentioned previously how difficult it was for you to get a loan to start. So how exactly did you get the capital that you needed to start your business?
Okay, this program will take up 2 days program to tell you how I get the money. But just to say that I will explain to you, after I came back from Miami training, you know, I start dreaming big dreams. You know, I was sent by the first company I worked for in St. Vincent to train in Miami. And when I got to Miami and I saw the kind of marine environment, the kind of marinas, I said, wow, I had to bring one of these to St. Vincent. You know, so I came back to St. Vincent and I worked, do my part for the company that helped me. I worked with them, and I remember my manager saying, I told him that I'm going to leave the job and I want to start my own business. And he kind of laughed, and I said, I'm giving you notice now. I gave him 1 year notice. And he said to me, what I want you to do is to train some technicians or mechanics to do the job that you're supposed to do. So I said, fine, no problem. So after 1 year, he obviously forgot I told him that, and I went to him and said, well, this is my last day, sir. And he said, what are you talking about? And so that was the end of the day. So after that, I came to St. Vincent, and I said, look, this is my dream now, a big dream.
You had it planned out? That whole year you had to train you had it planned out, everything?
Yeah,
okay.
I had everything planned.
Okay.
And I said, you know, I'm going to start a little workshop. And it started because my brother had just left the technical college and he wanted a job. And I said, okay, we'll get together and we'll form a workshop and, you know, start repairing some engines and so. So we did. And within a year he left and he went to America. He couldn't stick up with the kind of work I had to do. So I said, fine. So I was left alone again. And one day I was approached by a gentleman from the States, and he came to see me because I was fixing outboard motors, and he came to see me about it, and he said he has a problem with an outboard motor in Walilabu. And it was a Christmas, I think it was a Christmas day, and he had my name, and he wanted me to go and look at it, because I told him if he in this part of the world is to check me. So I said, okay. And so I left, and I tell him not a problem. So I went and way down to Walilabu, and then he said to me, you know, I fixed the engine. And he said, how much I charge? I told him it was Christmas, and I gave him whatever it is, no problem. The guy gave me some money, and he said, okay. A year later, I was approached by another gentleman who said they're looking for a distributor for Johnson Outboard Motors in St. Vincent, and he was sent to me. So I said, fine, no problem. He said, you think you can handle this? Because we need somebody to represent Johnson Outboard in St. Vincent. And I said, sure, why not? I could do it. I can fix the engine. But, you know, fixing an engine is not, it's just a part of it. But the business is another part.
Exactly.
So he said to me, how many engines do you think you can sell in St. Vincent? I said, hundreds, man, no matter. He said, and what type of engine you can sell? And you know, I know what the engine that Johnson make at that time. I said, I can sell a 300, I can sell 200, I can sell 45, anything you give me. So he said to me, you want to put a list together the engine that you think you can sell, and let's see what we can do. I said, sure. And you know, we talk, and he said, well, if you have to do this business, you have to set yourself up good and so forth. I said, that's not a problem, man. But you know, you're saying these things just because you can say them.
Yeah.
So he left and he went back, and they wrote me, and I sent off back a letter to them and saying what I can sell. And to my surprise, OMC shipped a 20-foot container loaded with engines without no money. Well, I thought I was crazy, but they were mad. You know? So after that, I said, I went to my father. He was working at this Inventor Port Authority at the time. I told him what happened. He said, but how are you going to pay for these things? I said, well, I don't know.
Wait, and how old were you at the time?
22.
You were young. You're a young entrepreneur.
Yeah. Young, whatever you call it, I don't know.
Dreamer.
Dreamer, whatever it is. So anyhow, my father said, well, I can get a broker to clear these engines, but we're going to get the money from to pay for them because you have to pay the customs. Well, at that time, I was servicing some generators for a bank. And, you know, I had to go home to the bank manager's house because there was one of the generator, the resident at the house at Montrose. And so I went up there, and it was a Saturday morning I servicing the generator. And the bank manager said to me, you know, Keith, you okay? I said, yes, I'm okay. So we started talking, and I told him about these engines that I have. He said, Keith, we're going to get money from to pay for them. So I sit down with him and we talk. He said, come and see me Monday morning, and I'll see what I can do for you. I went in the bank, I sit down with him, and we start talking. So he said to me, you think you can sell these engines? I said, sure. He said, okay, I'm going to take a chance with you. I'm going to pay for the engines at the customs, and you get your father to organize to get them out the custom and let me know what they cost. And so he did. If they want to buy engine, they'll buy it from me because I can fix it.
Okay.
So you have to give a good service, anything you do. Any business you do, anywhere in the world, service is the key.
Sure.
You must give good service. And once you give good service, case is over.
Okay.
Right?
Well, unfortunately, we are running out of time.
You see, and you asked me half.
I know.
Up to now, you didn't ask me half.
Not even half of the questions.
I tell you. So
Maybe
then
we should split this up into segments. Okay,
So-
but before we go, do you have any advice that you want to leave with any young entrepreneurs out there?
Okay, just yesterday I had 3 guys from the technical college came, 18 years old, and they want to start a bike business. So they came and they said they want some ideas what to do. Very young, energetic, enthusiastic. I told them, you know, the first thing, I said, who's going to sell the bike? They said, I don't bring big bikes. They want Ninja bike and so. So I asked them, who's going to buy them? They said, man, everybody want them. I said, fine, no problem. You go out there and ask, who's going to buy them for deposits? And you'll see who gave you a deposit. So the first thing I ask them to do is to go out in the market and do a feasibility study, because it's very important, a feasibility study. And then they sit down with somebody like you and do a business plan, and then they can take it from there. But you see, a lot of times we try to reinvent the wheel, we fail, because there are a lot of things there that you don't have to go and start. You can just, my father tell me one thing. He said, when you go out there, I travel all over the world to bring back ideas to St. Vincent. He said, go out there and scrib. You know what I mean? Scrib. He said, you scrib, see what people doing and do it. If they get in through out there, you can get through, but scrib from them. So don't go and reinvent the wheel. Try to reinvent the wheel. So my advice to them is, go out there, there's a lot of opportunities out there, but don't try to start it on your own. Go to people who know about the ins and outs of what's happening and let them help you to start. And I'll give you one typical example. When me and my partner were starting a security company in St. Vincent, we went to a bank to get loan, and we meet a very wise bank manager. He said to me and the other guy, so what you and you know about security? We know what we want security in St. Vincent. What you know about security? Same thing, don't reinvent the wheel. We partner with a team called Guardsman who know about security, and today we have the biggest security firm in St. Vincent because we didn't try to reinvent the wheel ourselves, but we partner with them and we get all the expertise from them, we learn from them, and Guardsman is today over 200 and something people strong in St. Vincent, the biggest security firm in St. Vincent, just 10 years old. Okay?
Yes. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show. Don't be surprised if I ask you to come again.
Well,
yeah, well, yes. That sounds like a yes.
I have only 8 questions you asked me out of 15, so we're going to get halfway today.
All right. Thanks for watching another 1+1 episode. Until next time. Bye.